It's The Oath with the Thrash Man, and I am back with death metal master Erik Rutan of Hate Eternal. The guitars have always been there for Hate Eternal, but they seem to be a little more in your face on Phoenix Amongst the Ashes.
Yeah, that was a focus. I felt like with Fury and Flames, with everything that was going on, I certainly feel like, I guess the one thing that got compromised was my guitars. And, not that the record came out bad, but I felt like it could have been better. And part of it was, I had a new drummer, and I wanted to showcase Jade and his talents, and I had Alex from Cannibal Corpse play bass, and of course I wanted to make sure he was prominent. But it was all really in my head. But what happened, I felt like the guitars were sacrificed a little bit, and this time around, I was like, I wanted to make sure that I worked on the guitar sound quite a bit, and I wanted to make sure the guitars were prevalent. 'Cause I feel like metal, and I learned this from some of my favorite records have just cranking guitar sounds, and I wanted to have this really just awesome, fat, huge guitar sound, and I went to my Marshall JCM 800, which is kind of like an old school amp that was used a lot in the 80s and 90s for old school thrash and early death metal and things. I used that with my Angle Powerball to capture a really clean sound, but a really heavy as hell sound as well. And I think the guitars came out just huge. And certainly by far, out of all the records we've done, Phoenix Amongst the Ashes, the production is the closest that I've gotten to having it be exactly what I want to represent the band. So I'm very, very proud of how everything came out.
Yeah, it does. It sounds phenomenal. And I'm not surprised to find out that you used a Marshall on that, because it definitely has that distinct tone. It sounds way good, man.
You can't mess with a Marshall, man. That's my theory. I mean, I own tons of Marshall cabs and tons of Marshall amps, and I use different amps as well, but it always comes back to a good Marshall. You just cannot mess with it. And I'll tell you, after this album, I realized that, I've experimented with things in the past, but I know what I use from now on. I'm not going to mess, the JCM 800 is my main amp, and that's always going to be on record from now on, because it just sounds so huge, and really stoked that you can hear all the detail of all the riffing and stuff, because there's some really crazy riffing going on. Thorns of Acacia has some really intense, all the songs have some really great type picking and just really intense guitar playing.
Yeah, right on, man. Now let's talk about the upcoming tour. You're headed to Europe here in a few days, aren't you?
Yes, I am. We're just rehearsing right now. We've been rehearsing for the last week, and we got another week before we leave to go to Europe, and we're looking forward to playing some of these new songs and getting out there for sure.
Well, when you go out on the road, is it refreshing to get away from the studio with all the production work that you do?
Yeah. It's I guess because in the last year alone, I think I worked on 9 or 10 records, as well as the Hate Eternal, and I've been mixing a few this year already. And touring, I know most people, they don't look at touring as a break, because touring's really not a break from anything. But for me, it is a break, getting out of the producer chair and getting out of the studio. It certainly is, and it's nice to go on tour and just kind of wreak havoc and let it all go, man, and just jam. And when I got a U.S. tour following, and then after that, I've got some really important records. I'm doing the next Goat Whore record, and then producing the next Cannibal after that. So, Goat Whore and the Cannibal Corpse, 2 major records. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting a break from the studio, freshening myself up, and then coming back and rocking it out.
Great. Look forward to hearing those, too. Well, the new album from Hate Eternal, Phoenix Amongst the Ashes, drops May 10th. You can catch Hate Eternal at Emo's in Austin Wednesday, June the 15th. Again, Erik, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Man, the pleasure's all mine, and thank you very much for having us, and I hope everybody enjoys the record.